So you just finished installing an aftermarket car audio system into your vehicle, or maybe you're just using a mobile device to play some music. You turn on the system and you start listening, and then you hear it. A buzz, a whine, or some static. Ugh, the worst. These are definitely all things that destroy our enjoyment of an audio system. So if we have noise in our system, what is likely to be the issue? What can we check and how can we fix it? That, my friends, is coming up. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Car Audio Fabrication. My name is Mark, and here on this channel, I do car audio product overviews. I do build log videos, and I do lesson videos like this video. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Let's get right into it. I want to mention this first because I think it's becoming more and more common in our day and age, and that is noise associated with a ground loop from a mobile device. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, people will take their mobile phone, they'll take a 3.5mm aux cable, they'll connect their mobile phone to the aux input on their vehicle, and it seems to be working okay, but then they go to plug in their vehicle to charge it using their charger that's in the cigarette adapter, and all of a sudden they have crazy static and noise. This noise could be in the form of static, or it could also be in the form of a whine that kind of changes when you accelerate the vehicle. In layman's terms, the reason this is happening is because you've created what is called a ground loop by using both that power adapter and that auxiliary cable. So how do we solve that? The simplest way for something like this is just to use this thing on screen here, a ground loop isolator. You'll see that it simply adds into the signal path. It's really easy to use, very simple. I'll put a link to this one that I found works really well down in the video description. Now let's say that your system is a little bit more involved than just using an auxiliary input on your OEM stereo. Let's say that you've added aftermarket amplifiers and now you have the same kind of things. You have some hiss going on, maybe some static. You have some whine. A lot of times it changes with the speed of the engine. Most often this is associated with a bad ground. And by that, I mean on the amplifiers themselves, when you install them, you obviously need a power lead, but you also need a ground connection. And what will happen most often is either one, people will use a ground cable that's too small. It's important to understand that your power wire that's connecting your amplifier, your ground wire should be the same size because you're completing a full circuit. Another common issue is the ground connection, where that wire is actually connected to the vehicle, just isn't done in a good way. It has to be really bolted down and secure and tight, and you want to make sure that this is a good grounding location. I have a video all about how to determine a good ground up in the corner of the screen. Another thing that can cause an issue related to the ground is, remember that you do have your ground wire that you're installing that's actually connected to your amplifier, but there's also a ground wire that is from the factory that goes from your battery to the vehicle's frame or body. That wire connection is part of the full circuit, so if you're adding an aftermarket amplifier that has a lot of power, you need to also upgrade that ground connection from the battery to the frame. Now, our next symptom of noise here, our next point, is amplifier noise due to mounting. What I mean by this is there can be noise issues when you take an amplifier and you mount it too close to another electrical component in the vehicle. This could be a power seat motor, any kind of electrical component that is radiating a signal away from it somehow into the amplifier can actually cause noise. Another issue that comes up that we see from time to time, and this depends on your amplifier model, but some amplifiers, if the metal casing is actually touching the ground of the vehicle, it can also create a sort of ground loop noise. I usually try to isolate the amplifier from the metal of the vehicle by making a plastic amplifier rack or amplifier board, but what if you're using a welded metal amp rack? Something that you can do is you can isolate that amp rack from the rest of the vehicle by using rubber washers or other isolated hardware. Now, while we're on the topic of amplifiers, another setting that we have to set on every amplifier is the gain setting. And an improper setting of the gain controls can cause hiss and other system noise. The biggest thing that's important to stop that kind of noise and fix it is you want to set up your gains correctly. I have a video all about tuning amplifiers I'll put up in the corner of the screen. Moving on, another source for noise is these guys right here, our signal connection cable. The problem is that poor quality signal cables can pick up noise along the signal path. Some good installation practices to follow in order to avoid this is you generally want to run your signal wires down the opposite side of the vehicle from your power wires that are going to the amplifiers. If you do need the two different cables to actually cross over each other just because of their routing path, try to have the power wire and the signal wire going at a 90-degree angle from one another. Now, something that you guys ask quite often is once you get to the amplifier rack where you're mounting your amplifiers, you probably need to have the power wire and the signal wire pretty close to each other. Is that okay? And the answer is yes, and that's why you want to make sure that you're using high quality signal cable that has shielding. So while we're on the topic of high quality signal cables, I want to take a quick second to thank monthly channel sponsor New Concepts. New Concepts makes a wide variety of wire for car audio along with power distribution parts, and they also make high quality signal cables. One of my favorites is these guys right here, the Crystal RCAs. These are a twisted pair wire and feature 3 different layers of shielding. I can count on these to be noise free, and they are a great value for their high quality. And guess what, my friends? Now is a great time to take advantage of getting these because New Concepts is currently doing a Labor Day sale. You can check out details down in the video description. Moving on here, another noise that is possible is noise that is radiated into the speaker wire itself. So if you've tested everything that we've talked about so far and you're still having issues, something that you can do is you can actually disconnect the speaker wires from your amplifier and you can see if you're still getting some sort of noise. This isn't really a common issue that we see, but it can happen where an electronic component is really close to a speaker wire and it's creating some sort of noise all on its own. Another noise type is aftermarket head unit noise. We could have a stock head unit with aftermarket amplifiers. The system could be great and noise free, and then we upgrade that stock head unit and add an aftermarket head unit and suddenly we have noise. This can happen because sometimes that stock ground connection within the dash is not good enough for the aftermarket head unit. If this occurs, you may need to extend that ground connection of the aftermarket head unit to a known good ground. Again, I have that video that you can click the eye icon up above to actually see how to test the ground, but this is one of the reasons a lot of times when you get an aftermarket head unit that the harness comes with a ground wire that is a little bit longer. If you're still having a noise issue after trying all the things in this video, something else you can consider is a ground loop isolator that is made to go in the RCA signal wire path to the amplifier. Again, to check those out, don't forget I have a couple of helpful links down below. So I'm curious, have you ever had noise in your system? Yes or no? And if you did, what did you do to resolve it? And what other kind of common system noise do you think that people should watch out for? I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to check out newconcepts.com for high quality signal wires. And a special thanks to Anthony, Bernard, Brian, William, Marcos, Michael, Jeremy, Doug, Steve, Emmanuel, Jerry, and the rest of the Patreon membership team. A big thanks to all those guys for making these videos possible. More videos coming soon, my friends. Thank you guys for watching.